The weather is unusually fine, and we're about to witness a most extraordinary scientific experiment.
Gentlemen, the 20th century will see steam engines and electrical power dominate the world.
And funny enough, they did.
Horse-drawn carts will give way to the motor car.
And funny enough, they did.
Will sprout wings and take to the skies.
That's what an airplane is, so yeah, they did.
Today, we showcase even more advanced technology. A glimpse into the future. A world first. A demonstration of my super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine. A man will literally be disassembled by a pulse of high voltage electricity and beamed to another location. Whereupon his body will be reassembled by a series of complex calculations exactly as it was before. In but a few moments from now, these gentlemen will, in the blink of an eye, complete an incredible journey through the air. To arrive an instant later on the Crystal Tower behind you! This one, yes! Whoa! Yes! Please, that's not what I wanted.
October, 9:36 AM. Sholmes' Street. Bruno, are you listening? Oh, sorry, what was that, Iris? What's the matter with you? You've been miles away all morning. Didn't you like what I cooked for breakfast? No, that's not it at all. What were we talking about again? Today's paper, it's full of news about the Great Exhibition again. Ah yes, the Great Exhibition. I'd like to go sometime. You're really not your usual self today. You seem very down. Don't you agree, Harley? Did you say something, Iris? Oh gosh, you're even more down. When did you arrive, Miss Naruhodo? I've been here for about half an hour already. We had breakfast together. What? Why didn't you mention it before? I, thought you might have known I was here. You know, because breakfast? Right, you're clearly lacking in vim. So much so that I didn't notice your presence. Thanks. Of course, I could deduce the reason perfectly well from your simple observations. What? Let's see. Yes, for example, your tousled hair this morning with all its unruly spikes. Really can be deduced, therefore, let me stop you there, Mr. Sholmes, because I think I can see where this is going. My hair always looks like this. It always has. Ever since we first met, in fact. Oh, really? How interesting. It just doesn't look like a haircut as such, I suppose. Ha 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 ha. Thanks again. It crossed my mind recently. It's been 6 months now. 6 months? Since I was forbidden from working in court. So I've been wondering how much longer I'm going to be banned. Oh, well, that would explain why you seem rather glum. Don't you agree, Harry? Did you say something, Iris? Ah, back to moping. What's the matter with Mr. Sholmes today? He seems even more down in the dumps than me. I know, and the Great Exhibition is open. You'd think he'd be excited. Oh, why don't we all go to see it together? I want to, of course I do, but I can't. Not for the time being. Why not? Why not? Why not? Because I'm a great detective after all. So you're embroiled in some tricky case that you can't be distracted from. Is that it? I don't remember hearing that you're working on a case, Harry. I suppose I should try to find out what's going on. Converse. Events 6 months ago. Half a year ago now, I took on the defense of a young girl in a trial held at the Old Bailey and got banned. What at first seemed like a simple case of murder that took place at a London pawnbrokery turned out to be one part of a much more far that made an unavoidable yet at the same time unforgivable mistake. Words fail me. This situation is utterly deplorable. Miss Naruhodo. Yes, my lord. I will decide upon your fate following the conclusion of this trial. Of course, my lord. In the end, I had my right to represent people in court revoked. I was told I had to spend my time in research and study, so that's what I've been doing. You have, haven't you, Reno? Reading all those big fat terms about British law, can you and the notes about Sholmes' old case. Brewing Iris's special blends of tea, fetching my daily bread for me. You've become something of a manservant around here. Start on the silverware next, Master Naruhodo. Well, I'm thinking of going to ask the powers that be to reconsider. Specifically, Lord Strongheart at the British Supreme Court in Whitehall. Lord Strongheart? Ah, the delightful Lord Chief Justice? Not my favourite fellow. He's not mine either, but he's the man I have to talk to. He's the only one who can grant permission for me to start working in the courts again. I came to Britain to become the best lawyer I could. I can't do that just sitting around here. The whole of London has been swept up in this great exhibition, hasn't it? The most advanced science, the most modern technology, the finest works of art and feats of engineering. For the next 6 months, our capital will be showcasing these things, and the world will be watching. Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons. For real though, it's bullshit, nah. Ryunosuke got banned from being a lawyer because at the end of the day, he only realised the truth when it was too late. He didn't realise at the time that he'd made the mistake. And, quite frankly, it takes more guts to own up to the fact you made a mistake than it is to actually make the mistake. Oh, do you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to look down on London from one of those lovely balloons. Look down on? Do you mean those things fly? Yes, of course. They fly high in the sky and don't even need wings to do it. All you need is hot air. But how? How does hot air have anything to do with flying? It makes no sense. I can't understand it at all. That's true of a lot of new scientific discoveries. Most people can't understand them at first. In 100 years' time, all these things will just be common knowledge. I suppose they might be. Mind you, some of the science being demonstrated seems very questionable. Something went wrong on the open experimentation stage yesterday, apparently. It was a huge explosion. Still, I wish I'd seen it now. I'd love to see how bad some of those scam experiments really are, says the innocent 10-year-old girl. See here, every page of this paper carries some article or other about the Great Exhibition. But the brighter things shine, the darker the shadows are cast behind them. Personally, I find myself drawn to the darkness, to the impenetrable. That is my proper atmosphere. The Great Exhibition newspaper has been entered into the court record. Shadows cast behind. Is that a metaphorical way of referring to the back page of the paper? Could be that's one of the reasons why Susato went back without struggle. Because Ryunosuke wasn't able to do anything due to the fact that He had his license revoked. Are you investigating a particularly tricky case at the moment, Mr. Jones? You could say that, I suppose. Nothing more to add. That's not like you. What sort of case is it? Shh! Quiet, Miss Naruhodo. We must not discuss it here. You never know who might be listening. You're acting very strangely, Harley. What do you mean, Iris? Well, usually... God, why am I giving him this? The more mysterious and complicated cases, the better Harry's mood. Ah, is it really a case that's bothering you? Iris, please, you mustn't exercise your astute powers of observation and deduction on me without invitation. Remember what I always say? Put yourself in the shoes of the individual about whom you're making deductions. You say that, do you? You, Mr. Sholmes? Never mind, once I've had a cup of tea, I must make my way at once to the crime scene. That was a deep sigh. Ah yes, a huge metal chest with lace cloth laid on it, being used as a table for tea and coffee. It's very sturdy, that's for sure. Only locked shut. That chest contains my father's detailed records of Hurley's many cases. Yes, I've been led to believe, but personally I've never actually seen inside. And that's the way it will stay. Those papers are a secret between Daddy and me. If you go opening it uninvited, you might find yourself being bitten. What? Is there a beast inside now or something? Every time I look at that machine, I can't help thinking what monstrosity it is. What's it called again? The Great Analytoscope. It can analyze absolutely anything, you know. It does seem incredible, and at the same time, incredibly useless. Ah, but it looks impressive, doesn't it? So that makes it very useful. If you want to believe that, yeah. How does that make it useful? Because it means you can pawn it for lots of money. Pawnbrokers always make idle remarks like, what an incredible looking machine. I love how Sherlock Holmes pretty much represent my mood today. But I found out that tomorrow my cat's got to be put down. I've had for about 16 years already. So Hurley often takes it to the pawn shop when he's a little short. Sounds like this thing pulls its weight around here more than I realised by having its weight pulled around. Don't touch the chemicals! Books, papers, scientific implements. These shelves are stuffed to the gunnels. Mrs. Sato wouldn't be able to help herself if she were here. She can't stand mess. Susie might not be able to stand mess, but she wouldn't dare touch these shelves. Oh, why not? Everything's in intricate balance. Hurley spends ages on it. If you were to touch even one thing, the whole lot would come tumbling down. Susie noticed it was a very delicate arrangement right from the outset. You make it sound like a meeting of great minds. But the truth is, Mr. Sholmes just needs to tidy up. Well, that's a polite way of putting it. I do love a good fire in the cool months. Watching the flames flickering and dancing about is just so very relaxing. Cleaning out the chimney isn't so relaxing now. No, getting covered in soot isn't my idea of fun. You know, Hurley decided he was going to clean it out himself last year. But you can guess what happened, can't you? He got himself stuck inside the flue. He's a very slim man, I admit, but there are limits to where a fully grown man can fit. Now, every time he dozes off by the fire, he has nightmares about it. Damn. Huh? All these different pieces of evidence from cases that Mr. Sholmes have solved are very interesting. The trouble is, Hurley forgets things so quickly, he never remembers why these things are relevant. The other day, for example, he saw the orange pips that were there, and decided to plant them in the garden. Pips? Yes, they've all sprouted now. We have 5 new little plants. Oh, well, I don't know what case they were from, but Mr. Sholmes can get oranges to grow outside in England. He should change his profession. Well, that's one way to put it. Yes, this is where you note down ideas, isn't it, Iris? What's in the melting pot today? The blue carbuncle. Yes, it's from a case of theft that's really sold ages ago. A theft of a precious stone. A carbuncle is another name for a garnet, you see? Especially if it's cut with a rounded top. Oh, really? And this garnet was blue, was it? Well, that's the thing. They're usually red. No blue garnets have ever been discovered. Oh. So who knows what the stolen gemstone actually was? That's the real mystery of the case. A proper Sherlock Holmes conundrum, huh? I can type with my eyes shut, you know. Wish I could have. The amount of times I need to fall asleep in programming. That's a lie. I'm an insomniac, so I wouldn't think about things like that. I can believe it. When a deadline's approaching, you sound like a Gatling gun. That reminds me of a dream I had the other day. It was such a funny one. It woke me, actually. I was typing for a whole hour in the pitch black, but I didn't make a single mistake. That's incredible! But then, when it got light, I found that there wasn't any paper in the machine. Now I wonder if I'd actually been typing at all. I think you might just have fallen asleep on the job. Anything else which can be interacted? And the chemicals. So many different bowls of them now on the charming little set of white shelves. Oh, do be careful, Bruno. You mustn't try the contents of any of those bottles, even if you're hungry. I wouldn't do something stupid like that. I'm not a child, you know. Well, I wish I could say the same for Hurley. The other day, he polished off a full bottle of one of my alkaloids. He what? He said he was hungry. Be extra careful. I look forward to finding out what aroma your tea will have, Iris, every single day. Ah, well, I infuse a different concoction of herbs from the garden every time, so it's not the same twice. When you call it concoction, it sounds more like a science experiment than something for tea time. Oh yes, that's because different blends can have very different properties. Some calm you down, some make you feel jolly, some give you energy, some make you melancholic. I'm guessing. Today's particular blend is something quite special, so you're really in for a treat. That sounds ominous. Mr. Sholmes, about this. My dear fellow, without wishing to sound rude, I'm currently in the middle of a very important blink. Perhaps some other more convenient time. Is there a set time for your important blinks, or are they in on day? Just so I know. Oh. Mr. Sholmes, about this. Shh, not another word. Ah, yes, I see. This will be a collar for a breed of miniature canine with a particularly long neck, and for winter use. Actually, it's the armband I always wear that symbolises my role as a defence lawyer. Precisely, which leads us to but one conclusion. The arm is, in fact, the particularly long neck of a miniature canine. I'm starting to wish I'd never shown him this now. The man's barking mad. Ah yes, Mr. Sholmes' faithful musical companion. Wasn't this violin made by someone famous? Yes, this is Stradivarius. I'm afraid you'd have to save up for 100 years before you can afford one, you know. If I were to save up for 100 years, I wouldn't choose to buy a violin, personally. Oh, what would you buy then? I really have no idea. I think I'll have to do it so I can find out. Okay, so what am I expected to do? I'll examine this. Every article on the front page is news about the great exhibition. Public experiments that demonstrate brand new scientific ideas, cultural exhibits from around the globe. It's also positive and hopeful about the coming century. We must all go to see it properly before too long. So many glowing reports about the great exhibition and everything that's going on there. Other than this rather gloomy looking one, that is. Wait, what? What's that, Reno? The Reaper attack. This must be what Mr. Sholmes was talking about. Does he know any more, I wonder? It says in the paper. Oh, so that's why he brings the masked man in. And that Lord Van Zieks was attacked. That's terrible. You know the legend of the Reaper of the Bailey, of course, don't you? Only too well, in fact. Yes, Prosecutor Barak Van Zieks. They say that if the Reaper is the prosecutor in a case, there's no salvation for whoever's in the dock. Even if the defendant is found not guilty. Once the Reaper has someone in his sights, one way or another, that person's time left on this earth will be short. No wonder he was attacked then. London's finest rogues always find ways around the law. They'll stop at nothing to secure an acquittal at trial. Falsifying evidence, paying sham witnesses. That's what McGilded did. Threatening jurors, bribing judges, but even such devious tactics as those cannot save them from the hand of the Reaper. As you've experienced yourself, haven't you, Miss Naruhodo? Yes, I've seen the Reaper's retribution at work. Many of these criminal rogues are reckless and quite unafraid to die. If leader among their fraternities seem to have been taken by the Reaper, retaliation like this does occur. Really, the capital has a never-ending supply of such scoundrels. So, do you mean Lord Van Zieks has been attacked like this before? This isn't the first time? He's quite an accomplished combatant, you know. He doesn't take these attacks lying down. Although, it seems as assailants were armed with guns this time. Oh my goodness! Is he alright then? Is Lord Van Zieks hurt? My dear fellow, how on earth would I know? Well, in the article here it says, as to what of Lord Van Zieks and his condition, all will be revealed in tomorrow's morning edition. Ah, I see. Well, we shall have to be patient then. No, I can't wait till tomorrow. In that case, you shall have to inquire of somebody you know. But who? Is that what... Susato's father was worried about? Well, I must be leaving now. Yes, understood. See you later, Mr. Sholmes. Ha! You really are a shameless liar sometimes, my dear fellow. What? You seek to put me off my guard and follow me, don't you? Well, you would be wasting your time. Before I crossed my mind. But now I'm wondering where you're going. Ha 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 ha. Well then, see you later indeed. Listen to him. He's still laughing on his way out of the door. Alright then, Bruno, let's get going. Oh, Iris, what are you wearing? I've got change to go over to the Great Exhibition. You're going to take me. What? But I was just about to go to the Supreme Court. Oh, well that sounds fun too. You're going to take me there then. Alright, fine. Just lower that weapon, would you? Of course, and after the Supreme Court, then we'll go to see the Great Exhibition. Move. Go to the legal consultancy, see what I can interact with. No? The kettle is gently simmering away now on top of the stove as usual. It was kind of Mr. Sato to send out Japanese tea. You really like it, don't you, Iris? But for me, it's the sound of the stove and burbling kettle I like most on biting winter mornings. And it feels even cozier in here when the delightful Iris pours the tea for me. I really couldn't manage without that wonderful young girl. Oh, Bruno, it's so sweet of you to say. Stop putting words in my mouth, please, Iris. Now, at first glance, my desk here might look as though it's a mess. However, it's not a mess at all. Everything is exactly where I want it to be. Whenever Mr. Sato looked at it, she'd put her hands on her hips and say, "Oh dear." A way of saying that I should make it a more orderly and neat mess. I miss that. You sound just like Hurley, you know. He says the same about his mess. It's the kind of logic that transcends international borders, obviously. The photograph of us all together that day. Makes me a little sad to look at it now, which is why I've taken to lying it flat. Mr. Sholmes right there every single time. I've grown accustomed to it. I hope we'll all be together again like that one day soon. Mrs. Sato's tea said that she left here with me. Surfing green tea is just too bitter though. Thank goodness for sugar and milk. Mr. Sholmes certainly wasn't expecting the acrid taste that one time. Never heard anyone scream like that before, or seen anyone fall down the stairs quite like that either. It always brings a smile to my lips when I'm feeling a little down. Oh well, do you know what that reminds me of? The day I gave you some black coffee when you weren't expecting it. You fell all the way down the stairs as well, didn't you, Bruno? Yes. Do you think we could try to forget that, please, Iris? That doesn't bring a smile to my lips at all. Alright, I'm not going to argue with a native English speaker who has some kind of gun. Yeah, you'd be wise not to. "22nd October, British Supreme Court, Lord Chief Justice's office. It's been about 6 months now since I was last here. Some things never change, like the sense of foreboding I always seem to feel in this place. It doesn't seem to be bothering Iris at all though. He's happily reading over there. Oh, I love this place. I always find so many interesting books here. Of course, I was forgetting that you'd been here before. The time we came here 6 months ago. when Susato-san was given the news that she was returned to Japan. Ah, I understand you wish to speak with me. Oh, Lord Songhart, I trust you've been keeping well? Let's see, since you arrived and requested an audience, it's been 4 hours, 32 minutes and 26 seconds. I have kept you waiting a while. I apologize. Oh no, not at all. I like nothing more than standing around, staring into space. Good to know. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. Good to know that doesn't appear to bother him at all. He said in a quizzical manner. Male Strongheart, Lord Chief Justice of London. He's the man who allowed me to start practicing as a defense lawyer when I arrived in Britain as a student. Need only savor the air for a moment in this grand office to understand his preeminent status. As you will be aware, the Great Exhibition of London is now underway at last. We're extremely busy as a result, policing the grounds, guarding new technologies, dealing with petty crime, and furthermore, as of next month, we shall open the International Forensic Science Symposium. Oh, I've not heard about that. Investigating authorities from 40 countries around the globe will be taking part, including from your own land. Forensic science is the future. Called it! That's a good way to sum up 21st century. The world must embrace it. As we're the hosting nation, I have much to do, and it is my highest priority. Others must wait for my attention as a result, so be it. Well, it's nice to know where I stand. So, you wish to consult with me? Of course, I can very well imagine what this is about. Ah, well, thank you for agreeing to this meeting, my lord. I'd be allowed to start working as a defense lawyer again in court. That's what brought me here today. But actually, there's something else playing on my mind as it happens. Bruno, just take a deep breath and come out with it. Converse. Permission to work. I actually came here today to ask for your permission. Go on. 6 months ago, my right to working in court as a lawyer was revoked and I was told to spend my time studying. Obviously, I'm very sorry for what happened, but the thing is, it made me understand what it really means to defend someone under the rules of a foreign justice system, and I desperately want to have another go. Please, permit me to return to the courtroom again. Miss Naruhodo. Yes? Here it comes. I'm sure you haven't forgotten your position here, have you? At best, you are a substitute for your compatriot. This was never your intended role. Well, that's true. The Japanese government actually sent my best friend on this study tour, not me. It should have been Kazuma. He was so determined to bring change to our own justice system at home. That was his calling. If that tragic accident hadn't happened, I wouldn't be here in this office now. Mr. Osogi was my best friend, you see. That's why I can't leave it unfinished. I have to fulfill his calling for him. His calling, you say. Has it never occurred to you that perhaps you know nothing of his true calling? Sorry? The mission with which that young law student was charged. What do you suppose it really was? What do you mean? Mission? It's not making any sense. Never mind. I've read all the reports you've submitted over the past 6 months. It's clear to me that you regret your actions and have been studiously obeying your revised instructions. Do you mean... As of this moment, I reinstate your license to practice law here in Great Britain. Thank you! Thank you so much! That's wonderful news, Runo. In fact, I believe I have the perfect case to mark your comeback. Curious affair. You'll consider it, I hope. Of course! Please don't... God, why do my voices crack now? Of course! Please tell me more. Forensic Science Symposium. All sorts of conferences have been taking place around the world to coincide with the Great Exhibition. And next month, the largest and most important of them all will take place at last. The International Forensic Science Symposium. It does seem as though criminal investigation needs some very scientific methods, doesn't it? Exactly. Ah! London, the global epicenter of culture, science and wealth, now has a population exceeding 6 million. Sadly, crime in the capital is growing at a similarly startling rate. So it's imperative that we use latest scientific methods to investigate and resolve cases as efficiently as possible. I need a drink. God, voice breaks on camera annoying. Exactly. Future, please. Ah. Regrettably, however, Britain is currently dragging its feet when it comes to the adoption of forensic methods. Oh dear, that's alarming. Exactly, it's extremely alarming. Ah! If I were Her Majesty's Attorney General, would you be sure? The numbers of crimes committed and resolved in London would be very different to the current figures. And I can cite 12 solid arguments and 223 individual reasons to support my claim. Sorry? By way of apology for keeping you waiting earlier, I shall detail everyone now. What? Oh, how fascinating. It all began 15 years ago. I was... ...5 hours. In the simplest of terms, of course. Essentially, the formally established forensic investigation division within Scotland Yard. That is my mission. Oh, right, yes. That's wonderful. Exactly. Wonderful is precisely what it will be. Harris isn't paying attention at all. She's got her nose in another book now. Oh, is it over? Did you learn anything useful? I actually drifted off for the most part. Surprisingly adamant about forensic science. You described it as a curious affair. Yes, that's right. I believe it was reported in the press. Are you aware that there was a serious accident at the Great Exhibition yesterday? Oh, no. Yes, I read all about it. A professor from Germany was trying to carry out a crazy experiment. Let me see. How was it described? Super high voltage, instantaneous kinesis, I think? Instantaneous kinesis, as in moving things with a click of the fingers? Nothing happened. That's right. It's just what my herbal blends need. A touch of devil-may-care. Whatever this serious accident was exactly, it's clearly captured Iris' imagination. It's an unfortunate business. This large explosion engulfed the public experimentation stage and a man lost his life. A certain Mr. O.D. Osmond, an investor and a well-known figure in society. A large explosion. A man died? The man responsible for the experiment was Professor Albert Harebrain. He was detained immediately after the incident and is due to appear in court tomorrow on the charge of murder. What? Murder? If you intend to take on his defense, you should hurry to meet with him at the prison. There is very little time left for you to carry out any kind of investigation. The exhibition, the scientific experiment gone wrong, and murder. I feel like my death before I've even died. Still. We should go to the prison straight away then, and try to meet with this German professor. Don't you think? Definitely! Ah yes, one more thing about the case. There's a connection with our mutual acquaintance, the Reaper. Oh! With Lord Van Zieks? How? So... what? As the kingpins of the criminal world generally managing to escape conviction in the Reaper's trials. And this isn't the first time their henchmen have tried to attack Lord Van Zieks' result by the sound of it. Does you think if that's how the justice system works in London? And that's probably why Professor Mikotoba tried to get Susato home then. Then there must be dark forces at work. Oh, that reminds me. Have you seen this? The reports of the overwhelming success of the Great Exhibition? Of course. No, not that. The story on the back page. What story? The Reaper attack. Ah, that. How come we not heard about his compatriot before this trial? Is it new? For real, that's... When I saw gameplay walkthrough, I was wondering that myself. You've enjoyed some victories in court against my number one prosecutor, have you not? Poor Mr. Reaper. What happened to him? He wasn't killed, was he? There's no need for concern. Lord Van Zieks would not be so easily dispatched, I assure you. Can you tell us what happened? I'd really love to know. Very well. If it interests you. It does, strangely. Fortunately, Lord Van Zieks emerged from the attack unscathed. Street ruffians are no match for that man. Unless he brought him in because he felt threatened. Because he now knew people targeting him. And sort of a game face style approach me. Street ruffians are no match for that man. He's a very capable fighter. But that's incredible. They were armed with guns. Why was he attacked though? Do we know? It's related to events that occurred a month ago. The leader of one of the capital's criminal organizations was indicted and prosecuted by Van Zieks. So retaliation basically. But the man was acquitted. I have no doubt large sums of money were involved behind the scenes. Large sums of money? A deplorable situation. Members of the jury... Why the fuck did Lex just go on? Members of the jury were bribed, it seems. However, despite winning his freedom, the man in question met a dramatic end recently. But you're not suggesting that was the work of the Reaper, surely? The victim's henchman suddenly seemed to think so. He was a man by the name of Osmond, Mr. O.D. Osmond. Did you say Osmond? That's the man who died in the big explosion at the exhibition. Yes, known publicly as an investor, but in reality, the head of a significant crime organization. Unbelievable. I wonder, can I ask you something, Lord Songhart? Try me. Why do you use Lord Van Zieks as a prosecutor? All the criminals who manage to get off in court and meet with the mysterious ends outside the courtroom, and fearful of that fate, they seek to strike at Lord Van Zieks first. Now, there's no evidence that he actually is the Reaper in that sense, but still, something's clearly going on here. I have Van Zieks work for the prosecution service for two reasons. Firstly, the man is the best prosecutor in the capital, bar none. And secondly, any deaths of criminals that have occurred outside the courtroom following his trials are nothing to do with him. But that doesn't make sense! How can you explain the way so many have died if not by someone's hand? Van Zieks may have earned himself the moniker of the Reaper, but he is no killer, so he will continue to prosecute on behalf of the Crown. Unless he wishes otherwise, of course. Well, I must be leaving that for my next engagement. I'm already 11 hours and 16 minutes late. My colleagues might be starting to fidget. Yes, because you gave that unnecessary speech. 11 hours late? That's quite something. That meeting had already started when I arrived back here for this engagement with you. So lateness was inevitable. Time stops for no man. I'm sure it stopped for me during those 12 solid arguments and 223 reasons. That's probably what took up most of the time. Oh yes, where would I find Lord Van Zieks now? I would assume he's at his office. Right, I'll go and ask him about the attack in person. I want to get this straight from the horse's mouth. Away with you now. I'm leaving Professor Harebrain's defense entirely in your hands. Of course, yes. Thank you very much, my lord. (22nd October, local prison, cell 11. The one said cell 11. That's this one. Oh, there's someone curled up in a ball in the back corner. Look. What's his name again? Professor Albert Harebrain, wasn't it? Excuse me, Professor Harebrain? Who are you? I'm Minosuke Naruhodo. I'm a defense lawyer. A lawyer! Ah, was it something I said? A lawyer, you say? Would you be here? About the experiment? Are you going to defend my hypothesis? Your hypothesis? Sorry, I don't... Yesterday's demonstration! That magnificent demonstration was now an out success by anyone's calculations. But despite that, no one listens. No lawyer believes in the science. As explained, they all leave at high velocity. Now, it's probably not a good time to mention that your zeal made my concentration here for a while too. Converse, yesterday's demonstration. You mentioned the demonstration yesterday. A failure. After all, a man died in the explosion, didn't he? Ah, yes, you could interpret the results that way if you really wanted to. Well, I suppose, in the strictest sense, the experiment was a failure, but at the same time it was a great success. You've lost me. I saw it with my own eyes, right there in front of me. Mr. Osmond was spontaneously disassembled. Until then, everything was going exactly as my calculations had predicted. At that point, he should have been beamed to the Crystal Tower by instantaneous kinesis. However, The machine exploded and Mr. Osmond in fact perished. Yes, I can't deny that part of the experiment was a failure. So what you're really saying is, the large explosion that killed Mr. Osmond was an accident, correct? But the bigwigs had you arrested on suspicion of murder? I was responsible for man's death. That is the immutable truth here. And for that, I wish to be punished at once. But murder? Never in a million years. It was an accident. Simply an accident. I see. Harley and I were talking this morning, yeah? You said the situation would change completely depending on whether it was treated as an accident or murder. How exactly? Well, if it really was an accident, then the Professor's machine would be kept in protective custody. On what grounds? Ah yes, it's newly established here in Britain, the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. That one passed me by. But if the case is treated as murder, then they'll say my machine was the murder weapon, and they'll be able to pour over it as much as they like. If they examine it in detail, they'll find out how it's made, and then... So, no more hiding in wardrobes on rocky seas for 50 days. I don't really see it like that. What do you mean, Iris? Well, if you could travel anywhere in the world instantly, the planet wouldn't really seem vast anymore, would it? I think it would feel like it shrunk. My word, no, that's exactly right. Well, what are the implications? What does this mean? Oops, just now it's got Professor Bunnybrain really worried by the look of it. Clearly this is yet another case of just because you can doesn't mean you should, I suppose. The point is, my calculations are flawless, the science works. Without practical demonstration, it means nothing. That's always the fly in the ointment. Because practical demonstrations cost a lot of money that young scientists like you don't have.